Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into the 2024 ASUS ROG Zephyrus G14.
That's right.
We've looked at a bunch of reviews, specs. Basically, we want to figure out if this ultra-portable really delivers for gamers who, want it all power and portability.
Exactly. It's aiming for that sweet spot. And the first thing you notice, based on what we're seeing, is this kind of shift in design.
Yeah, less gamer, more sleek.
Totally. More sophisticated, drawing comparisons to like the Razer Blade 14, maybe even a MacBook Pro in terms of feel.
Okay.
But the big initial things are definitely how thin and light it is. And that screen, that 3K OLED Nebula display with G-Sync.
Right. Let's get into the hardware then. Under the hood, it seems like they standardized the CPU. It's the AMD Ryzen 9 8945HS across all versions.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. So good news there, you get a strong 8-core processor no matter which config you pick. Plenty of power for gaming and productivity stuff.
And it has that NPU thing, too, for AI.
It does, yeah. The neural processing unit, probably not a huge factor for gaming right now, but it shows they're thinking ahead.
Right.
So yeah, processing power looks solid.
Okay, but the graphics, that's where you choose between the RTX 4050, 4060, 4070, but I heard there's a catch with the power.
Yeah, that's kind of the main trade-off here. To get it so thin, all those GPUs are limited to 90 watts. TGP, total graphics power.
90 watts max.
For all of them, yep. So even the RTX 4070, it's not going to perform like a 4070 you might find in a thicker laptop with more power.
Yeah.
It actually ends up performing, closer to a higher wattage 4060 sometimes.
Okay, so that's a really important point for performance expectations. What about RAM and storage? Any limitations?
A good one on the RAM front. Uses fast LPDDR5X memory, 16 or 32 gigs, which is great, but it's soldered directly onto the motherboard. So no upgrades later. What you buy is what you're stuck with.
Oof. Okay. That's tough for future-proofing. And storage.
Typically a fast 1 TB NVMe SSD, PCIe 4.0, so it's quick. But there's only one M.2 slot, so if you want more space, you have to replace the drive that's in there.
Right, okay. Let's switch gears to that display everyone's talking about. The 3K OLED Nebula. Sounds amazing on paper. 120 hertz. G-Sync.
It really seems to be the star. You get that super high resolution, the OLED colors and blacks, plus 120 hertz refresh rate, and a crazy fast 0.2 meters response time.
And G-Sync on OLED is new for them.
Yeah, first for this line. So you get that tear-free, smooth gaming experience, which is crucial. Great color accuracy, too. Pantone validated. Was fantastic for creators as well.
Any downsides to the screen? OLED sometimes makes me think burn-in.
That's the potential issue, yeah. With static elements on screen for a long time, like game HUDs. ASUS likely has mitigation tech, but it's something you need to be aware of.
And it's glossy.
It is. So while colors pop, you might get some reflections in brighter rooms.
So how does this all add up in actual games like Cyberpunk or Red Dead 2? Can it handle them well, especially with that 90W GPU limit?
It's capable, but needs help at higher settings. Reviews show at 1080p, maybe 1440p on high, you can get good frame rates, often above 60p's, especially with the 4070.
But at native 3K resolution.
That's where it struggles in demanding titles. You'll definitely want to use DLSS, frame generation, those kinds of techs, especially if you turn on ray tracing. That 90W cap really shows itself there.
Makes sense. And keeping it cool, it's so thin. How's the cooling system and the noise?
They call it ROG Intelligent Cooling. It's got 3 fans, including a small auxiliary one, liquid metal on the CPU. Seems fairly sophisticated.
And temps? Does it get hot?
Reports suggest the CPU and GPU temps are managed reasonably well under load, maybe mid-70s for the CPU, high 80s for the GPU, which isn't bad for the form factor.
But the outside, can you use it on your lap?
Probably not comfortably for intense gaming. The keyboard deck can get warm, and the bottom can get pretty hot. WASD keys usually stay cooler, though.
And fan noise.
Varies a lot. Silent mode is quiet, but performance drops.
Yeah.
Performance mode is audible. Turbo mode gives you the best speed, but gets loud. Headphones are pretty much a must for turbo.
Okay. What about just living with it? Keyboard, trackpad, build quality, ports.
Seems pretty premium. The build is CNC milled aluminum, feels solid. Keyboard's comfy, chiclet style, decent travel. Trackpad is nice and big, glass.
Just single zone RGB on the keyboard, though.
Yeah, less flashy than some gaming laptops. Ports are actually quite good. HDMI 2.1, USB-A, a couple of USB-Cs, including USB 4, even a micro SD reader. Pretty well-rounded.
And battery life. Usually a mixed bag with gaming laptops.
Exactly. Amazing for normal use, apparently, like 8, 10, maybe even 12+ hours doing web browsing or video.
Wow, okay.
But start gaming, and it tanks. Expect maybe an hour, hour and a half, tops, off the charger, though it does support 100W USB-C charging, which is the answer.
So how does it compare to, say, the Razer Blade 14 Or that Lenovo Slim 5 14-inch OLED.
Good comparisons. The Razer Blade 14 often has a higher TGP, so potentially better peak gaming power, and usually has upgradable RAM. But it's typically more expensive, and the screen is usually IPS, not OLED.
Okay.
The Lenovo Legion Slim 514, that might offer better price to performance, potentially a higher wattage 4060, maybe dual SSD slots. But the build might feel less premium, and G-Sync on its OLED wasn't always a given, plus no USB 4.
Right. So wrapping it up, the final verdict on the 2024 Zephyrus G14, who is it really for?
It really shines if your top priorities are portability, that premium feel, and especially that gorgeous OLED display with G-Sync. It's great for productivity too.
But you have to accept the trade-offs.
Absolutely. The peak gaming performance is capped by that 90W TGP and the soldered RAM. That's a big long-term factor you need to be okay with. Honestly, for many people, the RTX 4060 version might be the smarter buy in this chassis.
So it carves out its niche: premium, ultra-portable, amazing screen, capable gaming, if that specific blend fits your needs.
Exactly. Which leads to an interesting thought, with screens like this becoming such a focus, are we going to see more manufacturers push OLED with adaptive sync, even with those burn-in worries? And how might that change how we use these machines day to day?
I've included links with more details in the description below, so be sure to check those out. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Deep Dive, like the video, and ring the bell for more helpful content. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day ahead.